Hello, we are live on this week's episode of Ask the Artist. And here is the artist himself. Hello.
Hello.
So today's topic, we had the artist himself really wanted to discuss the colors that he uses. He gets that question a lot. Yes? What colors do you use? How many colors do you need to have to...
How many colors do you really need? You know, it's a lifetime study. I use 7 colors in white. You can really get by with red, yellow, and blue and white.
Now, why don't you
Primary
just
colors.
use red, yellow, blue, and white then?
Because you can't find a pure red, a pure yellow, and a pure blue. I get as close as I can with the tube colors that I can find and the pigments that are available, but they're not quite red, yellow, and blue.
Okay, so
Close
tell
enough.
us, which colors do you use then?
Okay, I use phthalo blue and green, titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium orange, cadmium red light, cadmium red medium, and alizarin crimson. Those 7 colors pretty well do everything that I want to do. So,
And these look like you've been using them. They don't look like they're freshly squeezed out of a tube.
shh, don't tell anybody.
Okay.
I use them. I keep the spot full. I always lay them out in the same order every time because I don't want to have to hunt and search. And sometime we'll talk about the fact that I use a complementary scheme, warm and cool. I have 2 mixing piles on the palette most of the time, and just go back from warm to cool. It's a tertiary scheme. Back in the Renaissance, there were artists that used that scheme. Some people claim that it's not as clean and elegant color, but I like the softness. I like the grays that you can get that way. So
Mix us something. Show us something you're going to mix.
Use something.
And while you're doing that, we've got a few people saying hello. We've got Shanna Hernandez saying hello. We've got
Hi,
Quill Higdon saying hello.
Hi, Quill.
Isabella Acona.
Isabel, great to have you.
So if you have questions, viewers, as you're watching, feel free to join in, ask those questions. That's why we're live. Got Kathleen Egbert.
Kathleen,
Kathleen.
good to see you. Kathleen is in Portugal.
Wow.
Kind of exciting, on a mission. So you'll notice there are no flat colors, no dead colors. I use no black, no brown, no gray. All of the colors, I pick the brightest colors I can because they can be knocked down by mixing them with other colors, but you can't make them any brighter. There's a lot of beautiful colors out there on the market. For example, sap green. A lot of artists love sap green, but it's a soft, more dull color. You can mix sap green with these 7 colors, but you can't make the sap green from the tube any brighter. So
you like to start bright and then tone it down.
that's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
You can see all of these colors are pretty strong colors. And I've got a complementary scheme, the phthalo blue and alizarin crimson mixed together. Yeah, if I've got a clean enough color here, should put some more out. But
Hi, Kirsten. She's watching us as well.
Kirsten, good to see you. If you mix phthalo green and alizarin crimson, you get a really elegant black. You can see that's a really nice dark black.
Oh yeah,
color.
You don't have any black.
Mm-mm.
You just make your black.
I make all of my blacks. And part of the reason I do this in nature, if you look out in nature, you will not see the same color twice. If you want your painting to feel flat, then use your black or your sap green and paint the whole canvas with that. But in nature, the color is infinitely variable. So I like to mix my colors as I go all the time. I don't have big piles of secondary color or tertiary color. I'm always mixing the color so that there is an infinite variety of color across the canvas.
Michelle Hamilton just joined us.
Hi, Michelle. Good to see you.
Okay, and you'll notice as well, we have two canvases, smaller canvases than you normally work on, set up today.
Yeah.
And this is to answer several viewers on Instagram had the question why he does the red wash. We explained that a little bit in our preview, but we wanted to show kind of the contrast. So on one side, you'll notice he has a blank white canvas, and on the other side, the red wash on the canvas.
I'm pointing at them just in case you can't tell.
Okay, thanks for
This one's
for
white,
helping.
this one's red.
That's really elementary. Red and white. So you're going to show us the contrast. Okay, so
Yes.
Explain first why you do it.
Part of the reason I do that, in nature, when you look out there, what's the major color?
Green.
Green. Green is a major color in nature. Or if you're looking at a sky color, blue, orange if it's sunset. But when you talk about major colors, green is the one you normally think of for nature. So if you start painting with green, it's going to feel flat. There are two main reasons. I put the red on first with a big wide brush, then I spray it with retouch varnish. If you're going to paint thick paint over thin paint, you need to put something in it that will adhere the thicker paint to the canvas, because eventually it will crack off if you're putting heavy paint over thin paint. And I don't paint really heavily, but I do put, a pretty good amount of paint on the canvas. So that's part of the reason.
Wow.
There's the reason I try to keep.
That's a mess.
I always tell where is it?
This is why he only has two painting outfits, because he doesn't want to ruin his clothes. Now we know. Secrets, inside secrets.
Inside secrets. I always tell my students when I teach workshops, the paint belongs on that end of the brush, not this end of the brush, because I don't like to get paint on my fingers, which I just did.
He's a little bit OCD, actually, so I don't know
Yeah.
how you ever even became an artist, because you'd expect paint all over the house. Caitlin Gerard just joined us a minute ago.
Hi, Caitlin. We don't want paint all over the house, and we certainly don't want it on our fingers. So
Sometime we'll do a show about how many times your 9 kids painted the couch.
yeah,
And why would an artist have a white couch, too?
yeah.
Questions. Okay, but still, show us. They're all waiting impatiently to see this contrast
Let's
of color.
see. What was I going to show you? I've
Show us-
gotten off track,
Well,
cleaning
that's
my
okay.
fingers. Okay, so we're going to talk about the colors.
Yes.
When I'm through painting, I want the painting to be tied together, and the red ties everything underneath. If you'll look at the painting right here that I finished last week, there are places you can see that red shining through along, especially here. You can see, if you get close enough, you can see that red really shining through.
Yeah, we
And
can.
here and down in here, you can see some of that red. And it shows through, it gives a warmth to the canvas that if I were just using green, wouldn't be there.
Right.
So, and when I put a color, for example,
Caitlin loves your paintings, by the way.
Oh,
And Kirsten
thank you,
is
Caitlin.
just amazed that you had a white couch with 9 kids.
so if you put a green on there
Okay.
with the red, look how rich that green is. If I put that same green
Exact same green, guys.
on with the white, it looks totally different. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's the same green, but having the red around it gives it a richness that having the white around it doesn't. So when I'm painting, I'm trying to match my colors as I paint. I want them to be rich, so I like to have the red to match them to instead of the white to match them to. Plus, when I tone my canvas with the red, I've already ruined that beautiful white canvas, and I don't have to worry about making a mess out of it because it's already, I've already started.
Pro tips, you guys, because I'm good at ruining
tip.
stuff. So I've already ruined the canvas. That's amazing.
There you go.
So, okay, yeah, pro tip. The reason to start with that red wash is there's nothing worse you could do to it. You've already ruined the canvas with all that red.
There.
And everything else is just going to be an improvement.
There you go.
Nice.
And now, when I go from, well, for example, let's put a little blue on there. And you can see again the difference. We'll lighten that blue just a hair.
Oh, that's pretty. I feel it's so satisfying watching the colors be mixed.
Go from one to the other. We'll put that blue on. You can see it right there. Same blue. You can see it right there. Okay?
Okay.
It's much richer, much more elegant against the red than it is against the white. I have found that if I paint on a white canvas, my paintings end up looking chalky. But when I work on the red, they have a much more elegant feel, much richer
tone. Well, and I know just because I grew up with you as an artist that you did not always do this.
No.
This is more of a recent, like in the last...
for the last 30 years.
Oh, shh, don't tell people that. Okay, I remember when he switched over, so that tells you something about how old I am. But I do remember that there was I mean, if you look at historically your pictures or your paintings, you'll see that things became brighter around that time. Especially, you were doing a lot of wildflower pieces at the time, and they were really bright.
Of course, that always depends on my mood. If I'm in a foul mood, things look dark and dreary. If I'm in a great mood, they look wonderful.
Well, we're going to have an episode about that down the road, too.
Oh, good.
I know no one's asked this question, but I have some insider secrets about that, too, about what he does with his paintings when he doesn't like them.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I've got some good stories
Well, save that
there.
for down the road.
Yeah, that one's going to be dramatic. Don't miss that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so what else did you have to show us today? Or do we have any questions about mixing from our audience?
Yeah, that's another, we can talk about that another season as well. You'll notice that I don't use any mediums, no turpentine, no...
What do you use instead of turpentine?
Paint.
But what about, you're not washing the
put it on.
brushes?
Right now, no. I use vegetable oil
Okay.
to clean my brushes out. And they don't become perfectly clean. You'll still get a little, but as you mix your colors, eventually your brush will go from one to the other. Again, that has to do with the variety of color in nature.
So you're not worried about mixing a little bit of color in with...
Not at all.
Interesting.
Yeah. You'll see, for example, in the sky, I took that painting off, but if you look...
We can find it.
Here's a sky, for example. You can see the variation in the color from one place to the other. Is there enough light to see that?
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah. And that
We've got
red...
a lot more red down toward the bottom.
Yeah, you see that red showing through. Well, the red mixes a little bit with the darker blue, mixes here, and you can see a variety of color from one side to the other, and it feels much more natural that way than if it were all exactly one color. When you look out at the sky, it's rare that you see a sky going from the horizon, and that's perspective. We'll talk about that another time too, but going from the horizon up to space, it'll be lighter and go deeper as you look
up. Michelle is amazed that you have no extenders and has never... Where did you get the idea for the vegetable oil?
I used to use... Well, there was a time period I went through that I lost my sense of taste and smell for a while because of the turpentines, the strong chemicals that I was using to rinse the brush.
He was acting a little crazy around that.
A little crazy. Wait a minute.
I don't know when it was. I'm just kidding.
But I thought, wow, I'd been using hand lotion, Vaseline Intensive Care, for example. I had, sometimes when I had paint on my fingers, I'd use the Vaseline, and it would just take the paint right off. And I thought, whoa, that could work on my brushes. And
Nice.
so I started using the Vaseline intensive care. And then, probably 3 or 4 years ago, I thought, no, it's the oil and there's more oil in vegetable oil. And I started using that on the brushes, and it keeps my brushes nice and soft. They don't
get stiff.
Yeah, don't get so stiff.
Michelle does remember that
properly.
turpentine loopiness as well.
Yeah.
She just didn't know that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things
Michelle,
are
this is
going
the
to start to
reason.
make a lot of sense now that we're getting all of this inside info.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, we're probably going to wrap it up for today unless we have any other questions from the viewers on camera about this process with the red and the white. And then he's going to complete something later on with a time lapse so we can show the contrast, just so you can see a side by side. Oh, Michelle does have a question. Do you feel like it conditions your brushes, the oil?
Yeah, it keeps them nice, keeps them softer. I use a fairly stiff bristle. Sometimes I use the brush awfully like a palette knife. So I like a stiffer bristle, but it doesn't become set up with thick paint, and it gives me a better edge. So.
That's a question I have. I'll notice just the tools that you have here. Not much variation in size on the brush.
Yeah, I use normally, I've kind of simplified everything down. The 7 colors in white, I use a number 8 flat brush. Anyway, it used to be flat. Now it's getting pretty worn off. I need to get another one, but I'll wear them down and then get another one and use it. And
palette knife.
And that's about it. I do use a putty knife to scrape the paint off the palette and keep it clean. But
is there a reason why you use the clear glass for your palette, or just?
Yeah, it's easier to keep clean. I've not found any other surface I like so much, and I've gotten used to mixing it on that surface. The colors underneath are pretty neutral, so they don't bother.
The carpet, you mean?
Yeah, if you had red carpet, I don't think you'd want to do it, but my carpet is quite neutral.
Well, interesting.
So it works very well for what I'm doing. And it's easy to scrape off, it's easy to wipe off and clean up. So, and I like a good sized surface. Working in the studio, I like a lot of room to have my tools and mix and have the paint laid out the way I want. So it does make it easier.
Well, excellent. Well, this has been enlightening yet again.
Good.
Keep sending us your questions. We've talked a lot about the red wash, but we hopefully have covered the questions you may have had about that. And you'll see the contrast. We're going to do a time lapse after we finish this video. But do send us your other questions. Next week we're planning, you have a show. Can you tell us just a little bit about the show down in Scottsdale?
I may have to call on my secretary to do that.
It's a Western art walk.
There you go.
And I'll post the information about it. He's like, I do the paintings. She coordinates all of that.
She does all of the, yeah.
Yes.
So I've got a lot of Western landscapes, from the Western United States that I'll be showing, and I'll be probably working on a painting down there. Come on down. Take a look. Michelle, come on down.
Yeah, Michelle said she thinks she loves this time. Yeah, you should come down, Michelle. The weather is great down here. And beforehand, because we're going to be going down to the gallery this week to show you a little bit of art walk etiquette for those of us like myself who stayed home and babysat the kids while everyone was at art walk, and now we feel a bit intimidated when we go to those types of events. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any other questions for us, please feel free to personal message John. I did forget to put the email in the links, but just personal message us. You're on Facebook. That means you know how to do it. And until next time, we will see you.
Thanks for joining us. Good to visit with you.